We got a little Jazwares figure in the background. You know what that means. We got us some Jazwares stuff to review today. Now, Five Nights at Freddy's has not really had a good track record of action figures. We've had vinyl figures, plushies, Funko Pops, Funko slot figures. Nothing good though, until Jazwares came along. Now that Jazwares has the main license, they've decided to make action figures with two different sets. The first one, I think it's called the World of Series, which is, you know, like the Toy Freddy, the single packs, and the Target exclusive 4-pack, which I actually do have, but I don't want to open because otherwise I wouldn't have a way of proving that it's actually a 4-pack that's Target exclusive. It would just be the action figures. But I will say it's still a pretty cool set. I do like it. But yeah, quick little mini review on those. Those are pretty cool. They look really nice. The eyes glow nicely. Which you can kind of imagine. On top of the World of series, they also have the Endo series, which is what I've been looking for so long. Ever since I saw other people get these, I've been so jealous trying to wait for them to drop. And then I went to Walmart today and I found it. The most glorious sight. It was the Endo series. The price of both of these sets is $25 a piece, which I will admit is a little pricey if you're buying both because you're dropping $50. But you do technically get 2.5 figures. So is it worth it? Yeah, definitely. Let's start off. We're going to start off with Bonnie because I haven't seen as many people do Bonnie yet. Taking a look at the back here, you can see it's mostly going to be the same for Freddy and Bonnie. But just looking at the actual design, I think it's really nice. It's pretty simple. You know, you got what you're getting in the box, the rest of the series, funny picture of Freddy, the generic logo, and the background of the FNAF 1 office. The sides of the box are pretty much just, well, sides of the box, they have Freddy. I think it's funny how it's Freddy's face plastered like 3 times right here because it just looks really funny. Because it's the same exact image of Angry Freddy, like every single time. And I think that's kind of hilarious. Editing all these videos, I've noticed that I really need to expand my vocabulary because I just say the same like 4 phrases every time. The front of the box is probably the nicest part because it has all this extra stuff like the camera, the power, you know, just that more FNAF-y feel. The front tells you what you're getting again. It shows you how you can even do it right here. One feature that all the Jazwares stuff has is that all the eyes glow in the dark. Top of the box, you know, nothing. Bottom of the box is just Jazwares, another jumbo mumbo. Well, no time like the present. Let's just crack straight into this puppy. The real question is, how do I open this? Alright, looks like I need to go get something. The one thing you should never say in a horror movie, I'll be right back! The character that's back that nobody asked for, big freaking knife! Alright, nice and simple. Nice clean little incision. Just like that. This box opens very easily, I will say. Much easier than a lot of other boxes I've struggled with. Oh, something just fell out. Let's take a look at this backdrop here since you can't really see it. It looks kind of goofy since it's the FNAF 2 office with this weird like light. I don't know why they edited it to be all pink and blue. I mean, it looks cool, but at the same time, it looks like one of those crappy 2014 edits you would see. The fun part is you can actually use it as a backdrop for figures, so you just put them like right there, and it looks kind of cool, I guess. We'll keep it right here, because why not? We'll use it as a little photo booth. As you see, they actually do give you a instruction manual on how you're supposed to assemble everything if you don't know how to apparently put together a Five Nights at Freddy's character. I will say this kind of gives me a headache with their visual look, because it's just a lot of clutter. I personally don't actually like this that much. I think it looks kind of ugly. It's not bad, it's just, I think it could look a lot nicer, especially because it's just a piece of paper. I'm not complaining though, but I personally don't like it. Oh my gosh, everything's falling out already. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Yo, give me a hand with this stuff, guys. Thanks. Get this plastic out the way too. Oh, not everything even came out nicely. And stuff's falling everywhere too. No. Okay, well, this is the Bonnie head. I wonder who this belongs to. This is a giant mess. Alright, let's take a look at Endo though, in all seriousness. Yeah, it's an Endo. Stay still, eyes closed, let the world be burn. Sorry, my camera will not focus on this guy. So looking at the figure, it's actually pretty cool. It's got some nice articulation. The head looks kind of goofy from the back, but you're not really gonna ever see that. The mouth is kind of hard to move on its own if you want just the endo. It's a little small. The head swivels, the body swivels a lot, actually. The arms are the same. The legs, they can go up and down, which is nice. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Bonnie is back. The legs can go up and down, which is nice, in case you want to put them at like a angle like this. You can see there's a lot of holes on it where you're supposed to connect everything, but it's a pretty cool looking figure still, regardless. I will say in the future, I hope they drop just the endos so you can actually keep both shells and not just a single endo, because that's really annoying how I'm going to display this. For the meantime, I think it's fine. Now, let's get Bonnie on there. Whew, man, putting this together was actually kind of tiring. I'm going to go over all my complaints first because there are a couple that I just want to get out the way before I actually start reviewing the figure. First things first. These feet suck to put on. I don't know if it was just my figure or what, but these feet were not clicking in. I had to put so much pressure on, and it felt like I was about to break them, and I did not appreciate that at all. Oh, the tripod. Oh no. Second thing is that taking these things apart, like actually unclicking the pieces, because as you see, most of these are two pieces. Actually clicking them together is not as hard, but removing them is freakishly difficult. So there's actually these little crevices right here that you're supposed to use. You just pop it out like that. I'm kind of an idiot. One thing I do not like is the lack of details. These figures are very clean, especially the Withered animatronics. You can see they have some detailing on there. However, it's so hard to tell, especially on these smaller parts, that you can't really see as well, especially considering how close of a color him and Withered Bonnie and Bonnie are. Now onto the good stuff. First things first, this mold is actually amazing. It looks so clean. The jaw, very good. Unfortunately, no articulation in the ears, which is fair enough. You know, you gotta sacrifice some things. But everything else moves super nicely. Not too stiff. And despite how big and bulky Bonnie is, you can bend everything pretty easily. It works really well as a figure. Unfortunately, there are no props for these figures, which is a very big downside, as Bonnie not having his guitar, Freddy not having his mic, it doesn't feel right. They feel empty. They feel like shells of themselves, which I understand. You know, again, you can't have everything, but it is unfortunate. Everything moves super nicely though. You can still move the legs up and down. You can move Bonnie side to side like this. You can move their head. He can't unfortunately look up, which sucks. He only can look straight. But the jaw does move pretty decently, except on the side it kind of closes a bit, but it still works nicely. The hands got articulation to go like this and swivel every way. They have pretty wide range of movement, and from every angle this figure looks pretty good, even from the back and the sides that you're not really supposed to see it at. There are holes down here, which does make me think they could eventually make stands for the figures, which would be really nice. Otherwise, this figure is really nice. I like the depth on the eyes. I think everything looks really nice. And for a Bonnie figure, it's actually really solid. Again, there are some complaints like the lack of paint, lack of props, and overall difficulty to build. But you know what? For the sacrifices that you gotta make, this is still a very nice figure. One thing that I think Jazwares should do that would be really cool is make like almost a legacy type figure. A much higher price, but also much more detail and articulation would be super nice. On top of different hand movements, so like a curled hand, a hand to grab, a fist, Different things like that would be really nice, and on top of maybe even some more props. The best thing to compare it to would be like Dragon Ball with the Dragon Stars figures and the SH Figuarts figures. Dragon Stars are cheaper, less articulation, and not as detailed, but the SH Figuarts more detail in all the props and different hands and stuff for a higher price. This would be really cool to have overall, but it's just me spewing ideas. Another way to compare it would be like Jurassic World with the Hammond series figures to just the standard figures that you find at Target. Something higher priced, but much better articulation. Off topic though, I really do want to get that Spinosaurus Jurassic World figure, that Hammond figure. The Hammond series figure looks super nice, I can't even lie. Alright, I think this Bonnie figure is a little too clean. Let's make him a little more withered. Withered Bonnie. Now we're gonna start with the complaints again. First things first, I wish there was a way to remove this top jaw because it really annoys me. Second thing second, all the withering is like actual withering so that you can see through to the endo underneath, except for this piece right here, which has it like detailed on, which is very interesting, but at the same time looks really stupid. If it wasn't for that, this figure would pretty much be like perfect, because everything about it is amazing. I like how the underneath eyes are red so that you can actually, you know, it's Withered Bonnie, they're red. I will say I wish the wire, I think it would be cool if the wire had a second piece of articulation right here so that you could bend it curved, because otherwise it's just straight and it looks, I mean, it's fine, but it's like, I think it would have looked cooler. But looking at the actual figure itself, it's fine, you know, it's got all the details except the printing back here too. Why? It's so useless that they're adding that on there, because it's like there's no reason to. Just make the pieces hollow like the rest. Otherwise, I will say I do like how it's hollow. That's one thing I really do appreciate, because as you can see the endo and it adds so much depth on there. I do appreciate how all the pieces are more textured and dirtied, unlike the classic animatronics, but at the same time I do wish that they had more of it, because it still looks very clean from a distance. You can't even tell. Otherwise, Withered Bonnie, very nice. We'll keep it on Withered Bonnie. Let's just give him a nice little pose really quickly. Oh yeah, that's a cool looking pose. See, this is why I love the Endo series. They have so much articulation that I can actually properly pose them how I want to. Welcome to Cooking with Upside. Before we begin cooking, let's get all of our utensils ready. We will need a cutting board to not absolutely decimate the environment around you, a small little knife, I'm going to be using an X-Acto knife, and a pair of scissors, if you like using scissors instead of the knife. Let's put these aside for now, as we don't need them. I have gloves on, as you can see, because I am very prone to accidents. The next step is getting the actual cutout you want. For this example, we will be using Withered Bonnie, as that's the shell that I have. The final step is making sure that all the pieces are together like this. You don't want any loose pieces, as, well, it'll be harder to store. Take the side that actually holds everything in first. You can see here that the slot for the endo cuts off where most of that is, but that's okay. We can just cut out about here, and since there's no hand section, we'll be alright. Cut out the area you want. You'll never truly need an endo, as the endo will always be on a figure, so you can always make sure to cut just about here to be safe. If you don't need the other side, you can discard it or save it for another time. This next step is something that you could technically skip, but I personally like to cut out this area, so that way it's a little smaller for storing. Take your X-Acto knife, push it deep through. You could also go from this angle, which is what the cutting board is for, and just drag it smoothly. Once you use the X-Acto knife to get every part that you can, use scissors, as it's easier to get to the bigger parts and cut through much faster. Once you have the cutout, you can discard the rest of the plastic, as you don't need it anymore. Once you have this part cut out, you can discard the rest, as it will not matter. Next up, we will cutting out this front part, which will hold everything in place. You could technically leave things like this if you so choose, but I would not recommend it, as everything falls out very easily. So, cut out this in the same way that you did this. Once again, discard the parts you don't need, and you should have this part cut out too. As you can see, once you push everything in together, it creates a nice little mold for all the shell parts. The final step is, of course, putting the shells in. There's a couple hints to tell which way is the front if you're having trouble. The first way is looking at the details. As you can see here, the stomach lining indicates that it's on the front. On top of this, the endo's hands will always go behind. So as you can see here, it's going behind, so it'll never be in the front. After you establish that, of course, just keep putting the parts in. If you're struggling to figure out which way the withering goes on which joint, fear not. The actual pamphlet they give you actually shows which way everything is supposed to be. So for example, this part right here has withering like this in almost S shape. As you see, that is the left leg. So it goes in the left slot, just like that. And once everything is in there, you just close it all up. Now there are two ways you can keep this shut so that the parts don't slip around and fall out. The first is a pin like this, and the second is a rubber band. Either one, from what I've seen, works, but the rubber band you can customize to look like closed off tape, which I personally think would be a lot cooler. And just like that, you now have a way to store all the extra parts without having them all discarded around. It's not the most beautiful, but with customizations, you now have a way to store all your Endo Series parts together without an issue. Alrighty then, let's get to the man of the hour, Freddy Fazbear. Oh yeah. There are the instructions again. Really quickly before we trash the box, let's just look. Yeah, same exact thing instead. One thing I did forget to mention is that I like how it says Classic Freddy instead of just Freddy Fazbear. I think that's funny. Same with Bonnie. Also, fun fact about these boxes, these used to actually say Withered Freddy on them in the original release before they had the global launch. Let's look at this instruction manual, shall we? Yeah, it's pretty much the exact same thing. Freddy looks geeked as frick, and Withered Freddy's even more geeked. Let's get straight to it. Oh, I just remembered what happened last time. Anyways, this one's actually still in box decently. Wow, this is not stay in box at all. Never mind. Freddy head. Bang, bang, bang. Bang, 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 bang. Oh, well, I will say it's a lot easier to organize. Now I can actually organize the parts based on who goes where, instead of last time where I was struggling with Bonnie. I think this time we'll actually start on Withered Freddy. Alright, let's take a look at the Endo first, because there are some minor differences. For starters, these parts are black. So the eyelids, the jaw, and this random brick on the back of the head. I don't even know why this is here. It doesn't connect or do anything. Otherwise, Endo's exactly the same thing. Let's get Withered Freddy on there. Withered Freddy. Okay, this is definitely one of the best figures so far, I have to be honest. Everything about the figure looks really good, but there are still some complaints I have. Mainly these teeth. What the heck happened to these teeth? They're just like choppy and white. They don't look like from the front, it's fine, but from the side it looks ew. The lower jaw is fine, it's just this upper jaw right here. Same on this side too. Pretty much everything about this figure is like perfect. The articulation is super nice, everything moves perfectly. Everything looks just like Withered Freddy, it just feels like him. The detailing obviously could be a little better because it's just too bright and cheery for Withered Freddy. He's supposed to be dirty and gross looking, like an old abandoned animatronic. The withering itself though is my main thing, because unlike Withered Bonnie, who had that weird like random patch where it wasn't actually like a physical hole, it was just like on this actual piece, all of it is like chopped up on here so you can actually see right through it. I don't know, man, this is like probably my favorite figure right now. It's just so clean. I don't even want to take him off and review Freddy. I just want to like leave him on, but unfortunately, I have to review Freddy because look at him, bro. He wants to be reviewed. We're all afraid that it might be too late. They never learn to wait their turn. Now we get to watch them burn. Anyways, I present to you the one, the only, Freddy Fazbear. Alright, yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna speedrun this. It's Freddy. It's pretty much perfect. From the side, yeah, that's Freddy. From the front, yeah, that's Freddy. His eyes bulge out mad crazy, which I will say, but I think that's just me. Articulation, everything moves fine. It works perfectly. It's Freddy. Woo! One thing I did not test out, however, is the glow-in-the-dark ability. So let's do it. Oh yeah. You take a black light and you just... Oh yeah, that's the good stuff right there. You got that. Bonnie's inner eyes do not glow, but this is what Bonnie's eyeball looks like, by the way. Otherwise, not a lot to say on Freddy. Honestly, his figure is just solid. Once again, the paint could look a bit better in terms of coloring and actual details, but for the most part, this figure is super nice. It does suck how there isn't really any paint on the inside of the ear right here, but it's just like minor details here and there. Nothing actually that affects the figure. Otherwise, I think this is like really nice. For $25, you get a super nice deal. You get 2 figures and an endoskeleton with great articulation and a fun little gimmick. If I had to pick the better one, obviously I'd say Freddy, because Bonnie's is kind of, it's got some issues here and there, but I like Freddy's a lot more anyways. One thing I'm excited about is when these do become much more worldwide, I am so excited to see the customs. Oh yeah, there's Kinger. Because I think the custom figures of these are going to look super nice, you know, just like Phantom Freddy, I guess. I don't know. Now is the favorite part where we're putting these. We're putting them in this section. I'm not going to organize them right now, but this is where all the Jazwares figures are going to go. I put these here because, you know, they're in box and they're already next to action figures. But this is where all the upcoming figures will go. So we got the Endo Series, World of, I'll put Freddy back. He'll be over here, Toy Freddy. Mango will be on the ceiling. It's going to look sick. But for the most part, this is how it's going to be organized. Those spare pieces, I'll just probably shove like in there because you see it's a little crevice. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. I haven't had time to actually organize things like I said I would last video because, well, I haven't actually finished that video. At the time of recording this, I still am working on that video. Kinger. There's 2. Yeah, as you can see here, I still haven't even put away the tickets to Fun Set yet. It's still just there. Oh yeah. We're keeping that in there. That is so staying in there. I'm losing sticky note, but I'm so keeping one of these displays like this because that's gonna look sick. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please subscribe. Otherwise, your Walmart will be very dry. There won't be any figures for you. None. Unless you subscribe, in which case it'd be very plentiful. Same for Target. Don't think you could just switch stores. That's not gonna work. Because like Target doesn't supply their crap anyways, bro. I went back like literally 2 days later. There were like 4 of these, and now there's none of them. So do with that info what you will. Bye. Yeah, bye.